Hi and welcome. My name is Daniel and I work in support here at Confetti. In this video, I will go through how to create an event from scratch. I will go through the different parts of the tool and I will finish by showing what the entire registration flow looks like when a person signs up for the event. So let's start by switching over to the tool. When you're going to create a new event, you first click on New Event. And here we have a range of different options. The first thing we need to do is name the event. I was thinking that I'm going to do a kickoff, so I'm naming my event Kickoff. Below we have a few different options for how the event will look. A free event is just a guest list, and here you sign up to secure a spot at the event. Tickets are ticket groups. This works for free events and ticket sales, offering various ticket types. Continuous events allow adding new dates anytime. Specify max attendees by dragging the slider or entering a number. Under Design Template, decide if the event has different sections. Max number of attendees refers to how large the event should be, and here we can specify the number of participants by either dragging the slider, or we can enter a specific number in this small number window, 4. How many participants the event should have. Under Design Template, we can specify whether the event should have different parts in blocks. This is what I will show later in the video. Or you can also just create a minimal event. It's just a registration form, and this is great if you just want a quick sign up for the event without a lot of fuss. The start date is when the event begins, and here it's important to also add an end date, because if you don't do that, the event will only show as lasting for 2 hours. And the reason for this is that a calendar booking always needs to have a start and end date in order to be added to a calendar. So it can be good to remember that. Finally, we need to specify a link for the event. You can do this by clicking down here and entering either the name for the event or another link that you want to have. This is important in order to activate the Save button. Once we've done that, we've saved the event, and now the fun begins. Now we can start building. When we have created a new event, we will go to the Overview page. It consists of 3 parts. On the left, we have the Control panel. Here we can get all the information we need about the number of participants. This is where we change the design. This is where we adjust ticket sales and settings for the event page. On the right, we have an overview view, and this is what the event page will look like when a person goes in to register for it. This updates as we make changes on the page. In the middle, we first have a Getting Started page, and this will change once we have created the event. But to start with, we need to make some initial basic settings. The first thing we can start with changing is the cover photo, and that's the image that appears at the top in the header of the event page. And since I'm going to have a kickoff, I want a suitable image for that. Here I can either choose to upload a photo that I have on my computer, or I can select a photo from Unsplash, which is our integrated image database. Since this is a kickoff, I want something that really sparks interest among my future participants, and I thought this was a very fitting image. And now we can see that the image up here on the event page is changing in real time. A tagline is a small subtitle, and here you can either write something motivational for the event or provide a short description. You don't want to miss this. This feature is crucial and beneficial for you. I choose to have it say that there. I have specifically chosen to have it say that particular phrase there, and the registration button text can also be adjusted. Additionally, the text on the registration button is customizable. I want it to say, "Register here." Here. And just below that, we have a text block, right? You can create more like this, but let's start with this. First, you can have a headline, and you can have a slightly larger descriptive text. And for this example, I'm satisfied with this text. But here you can write exactly what you want. And when I'm done, always remember to save. If you want to specify a location for the event, you do that under Pick a Location. I want my My kickoff is going to be at Nakariet, and I want it to be on Svartmangatan in Stockholm. And then I click on Save, and now a small map appears down here that is directly integrated with Google Maps, so my participants can easily find their way to the event location. Finally, manage ticket settings. Here you can check if you want the tickets to have a QR code, and this is something that I would like to recommend a little extra. Because then, with the help of Confetti's integrated check-in app, you can easily turn your phone into a scanning device and scan the QR code on the tickets, allowing you to check in participants to the event. And when I'm done with that, I click on Save. Finally, we also have the Publish button. This is the button you click to publish the event online, and before that, it's not accessible to anyone other than those working on the event. We'll come back to that later. Now let's move over to the left menu and the control panel, and I will give you an overview of the different parts, and in future videos we will go into these different sections in more detail. We'll come back to the overview page. It will look a bit different later, but let's go straight to attendees. Attendees refer to all information related to participants. Here you have the lists. Here you can add and invite. In the list, registered participants and invited participants will be displayed. You will also be able to see if someone has declined the invitation. I will also show this at the end of this walkthrough. With Add New and Invite Import, it's possible to add participants. You can either add them one by one, or if there's an existing guest list, you can paste it here. You can either add them one by one, or if there's an existing guest list, you can paste it here. Just follow the instructions provided here, and then you just paste it in, continue, and preview. And then you'll be able to import a whole list of participants at once. They will then receive an invitation email sent to them, and I will get to the email part later in this menu. Under Export, we have the option to export information about our participants in a participant list. Then all participants are listed with their current status, and it's also possible to get all the responses from the registration form. This is great for getting an overview to gather information ahead of the event. Name badges allow us to generate name tags that we can give to our participants when they arrive at the event. It's possible to adjust them with the information that you want the name tag to include. And if you have access to a label printer, it's possible to connect it to the tool. And when you check in a participant, a small sticker will be printed out that you can stick on your shirt to show all the other event participants who you are. And here it's also good to show QR codes with our integrated check-in app. For that, we come to here. And the check-in app is free to download. It's available for both Android DOS and iPhone. And the check-in app offers a feature that we call scanning sessions. And this allows exhibitors or other stakeholders at your event to collect leads just by scanning the old QR code. Now, we come to Pages, and that's the fun part. This is the part of the tool where we set up how we want the event page to look. Start, as always indicated by this little house icon here, is the landing page that your visitors will arrive at. So that's the page they see first. We build events with blocks, and blocks are what you see here. These are the different building blocks that make up an event page. We can add new blocks by clicking on Insert Block and then choosing what type of block we want. And we can also grab these points that are on the side of the blocks to move them up or down. Now I move the gallery block up here, and it changes immediately in the little overview view. I just want to quickly show the header as well. The header is the top image on the website, and here you can make various adjustments for how you want it to look. What I mainly want to show is the possibility to add a cover video, and then you can have a moving header instead. This can be a video that loops with or without sound. Next we come to Add Page. If you have a page, Splitting it into multiple pages makes it manageable. This way, it resembles a book, moving page to page, not a long list. Then it becomes more like reading a book where you go from page to page instead of the event page being like a long wish list. And this is possible to create in exactly the same way as the start page with different individual blocks. It's also possible to create anchor links. And an anchor link is a link that leads down to a specific part of the page. And it's also possible to link to external pages. So it can be good to know. Forms are documents you fill out. The sign-up form is for registration when you register on the site. The feedback form is sent after an event to gather participant feedback. Sign-up forms are for event registration. And the feedback form can be sent out after an event is finished to ask for feedback from your participants. Sign-up forms are the registration forms, and this is the form that participants will fill out when registering for the event. You always need to fill in your name and email. This is so you can keep track of the participants in your lists and so you can communicate with them. If you want the option to send SMS to your participants before or during an ongoing event, you can also check the mobile phone number box. Then the participants fill in their phone number and you can then send SMS to them directly from the tool. If you want to make a question mandatory, then you check Require and save. Now this question is mandatory and it's indicated by this little blue star here. You need to fill in these questions to complete your registration. It's also possible to fill in company, and this can be useful if you have a corporate event and it's important to know which company a participant is coming from. You can also add custom fields. I'm going to have a kickoff, and of course I want as many people as possible to come. But for those who can't attend in person, I want to offer the opportunity to participate digitally. Then I carefully scroll up and choose the Add Field option. Here I can choose what type of question I want to have. And I want to offer a yes or no question physically or digitally. Then I can go up and choose a checkbox that allows the participant to select from multiple answer options. A drop-down list is one like the one we're in now. And then an answer is displayed, and you choose one of several options in a drop-down list. But I want multiple choice. Multiple choice means there are several answer options, but you can only choose one. And then I write, are you coming at all? Det must be eller digitalt. We should fix that too. I can add an additional description here, but I think the title in this question is quite self-explanatory. Then I can add the various different answer options and separate them with a comma or two. That way the tool is aware that these are different answer options in order to digital technology. And I also make this question mandatory to the survey and save it as part of the process. Then the question is displayed up here. If I want to see a preview of what the form will look like for the participant, I click on Preview. Here we see all the questions, with the mandatory ones marked with a blue star. And the little question I added about participation, whether it's physical or digital, then I can basically choose one of these two options. Then I also have to essentially accept the terms and privacy policy in order to successfully complete the registration process. And we'll get to how you can add your own terms and policy soon. The feedback form works in exactly the same way. The feedback form includes a rating question where you can ask your participants to rate the event, and then you add the other questions in exactly the same way as in the sign-up form. If you want a completely clean feedback form, you create a new one by clicking on Add, and then you'll get a feedback form that's completely fresh. Now we come to the design block. It's possible to add a favicon. It's a small image that appears on the tab when you're on the website. The cover photo can be changed again. The primary color is the color that appears most often on the page. And based on which cover photo you have, you get different suggestions that harmonize with the cover image. And I think this blue is really nice, so we'll go with that. Advanced Colors allows for additional color choices, and here you can design different parts of the page. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I encourage you to try out different colors instead. You can simply either choose colors from a color picker. You can also simply use the eyedropper to pick a color from an image. Or if you have official corporate colors, you can use the specific hex color codes and fill in the different hex codes here to appropriately align the event page with your corporate branding, such as down here you can also see a little preview of how the different colors will interact with each other. And if you go into a block, you can very quickly either invert the colors and then they just get swapped. You can also have secondary colors that are only meant to be seen in certain parts of the page. And here, voila, from white to violet. It's also possible to change the font on the event page. You can either choose one of the suggested fonts here or add your own font. White label hides all references to Confetti in the email and the event's footer, so if you don't want that to be visible, just check the white label option. Button title. Once again, we can change the button text here, and if we want a square button, or a so-called kvirkel, or a round button, we can adjust that here by dragging the slider. It's also possible to add your own CSS or HTML code if you're knowledgeable about it. Then you do that under Edit CSS. Sharing involves everything related to sharing the event. Here you can adjust your tagline or add a unique calendar event description. This is a text that will only be visible in the calendar booking if you choose to save the event to your calendar. It's also possible to make adjustments for Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn with your own little image, title, and descriptive text. You can also add links to social media like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and they will then be displayed at the bottom of a text block. Welcome is the little welcome pop-up that appears right on the screen when you have signed up. Here I am writing, "Great that you're coming. We look forward to meeting you, Spark." Since it's a kickoff, we look forward to the future. The content covers partners, speakers, and the schedule for the event. Here we can add multiple organizers. Here I am now with a stylish little cat picture. This can be changed if you want to. And then I can add information about myself as the organizer. And I can add co-organizers. In the same way, I can add sponsors with different sponsorship levels. Like food, we say here, for example. Then I can add food-related sponsors. I could also add technology-related sponsors, or other types of partners who have contributed to organizing the event. Speakers enable me to create presentations for different speakers and events. Mr. Speaker, I am adding additional information here. And I am indeed, he is actually the presenter. Presenter, that was good. Correct? And I'm taking a photo once more from our extensive database. There we have Mr. Speaker. Look, and here I can also add a presentation for the speaker and link the speaker's social media, links, and similar. And now I have created it. And then you can see that the speaker is displayed in a separate little speakers block. I can also create a schedule with different checkpoints for the event, where it will start, how long it will last, and if there is a specific location or part of the event where the specified schedule point will be. Messages refer to all the messages that are sent out in connection with the event. To send invitations and compose emails, we need email credits. It's also possible to send SMS directly to participants, and we have a separate column for SMS credits. The emails that cost credits are invite messages and compose messages, meaning messages that you activate and send yourself. If we go to an invite, it is an invitation to the event, and here you can add an image and a small inviting text. And once you have sent an email, you can go up under Sent Emails and see the status of the event. How many have opened it, how many have received it, if any addresses are blocked, if any emails haven't been sent yet, and if any emails have bounced. So this gives a very good overview of how your mailing has been received. The welcome email is the booking confirmation. It can also be a ticket. It's the email that is sent automatically when a participant has registered. And if you don't want an automatic email to be sent out, you just go into the email and uncheck the box for it to be sent. And as always, remember to save. The thank you email is a bit special. It is sent out 2 days after the event has ended if it is activated. And this is so that you as the organizer can offer a little follow-up. And in this email you can add a feedback form that we talked about earlier, where you can ask questions to the participants since they have attended your event. It's also possible to easily create your own messages via Compose. Then it's possible to choose whether you want to send an email, just like the ones we've looked at earlier. Or if you want to send an SMS, then you have a message box for SMS. But now we're looking at how to step-by-step compose an email. Just like in the other email templates, it's possible to add an image and a message. You can also activate the event button, which always leads to the event page, or a ticket button. If a participant has a ticket, they can click that button to access their unique ticket. And it is also possible to conveniently add the QR code here if you plan to use the check-in app to facilitate check-in. And we can also definitely add feedback forms, and this is, as I said, possible to do to get feedback from participants. Under Send Test Email To, it's possible to send a test email. It's not a real email, but a representation of what the email will look like. You can also choose to see what the email will look like directly in the tool by clicking on Save and Preview. Here we see the title, message, the event button that leads to the event page, and the detail button that leads to the ticket. If we go back up and move on to recipients, we can specify the recipients of the email here, such as, for example, the intended audience. If you send to attending, the email will only go out to registered participants. But perhaps, possibly, you want to send a gentle, friendly reminder to invited people who haven't responded to the registration. Then you choose Invited and uncheck Attending. Now the email will only be sent to people who are invited but haven't responded. It's also possible to choose to send to multiple different participant statuses. It's possible to send to people who are checked in or to those who are not checked in at the event. This can be useful if you want to send out, for example, a reminder that the event is starting soon. It's also possible to send an email based on form responses, and we do that by checking Send based on form answers. And here we find the question that we created in the registration form earlier. Will you be participating physically or digitally? Let's say I only want to send a message to those who will be participating physically. Then I'll check this. And now the email will only be sent to those who responded that they will participate physically. When we go to send, we can choose whether we want to send the email right away or if we want to schedule it for a later time. Then we click on Send Later and specify the date and time for when the email should be sent. Then this creation will be securely saved under a separate tab under Messages in the system. Now I'm saving it as a draft. And then I go to Messages here. Then we see that the email is saved as a draft. If I've scheduled it, a new title will appear here called Scheduled, where the email will be saved instead. And that was a brief overview of the email function. The next tab in the control panel is Live Stream, and it's possible to add it in Confetti to broadcast your event or seminar live. But I won't go into more detail about that in this video. So let's quickly move on to the next point, which is Settings. The first tab we have under Settings is called Setup, and here you can make a lot of settings related to availability, registration, and so on. The first tab we have is Categories, and here you can add categories to make it easier to find events in your workspace, which we will go into more in another video. Who can see this event manages the availability of the event. If the event is to be searchable and open for everyone to register, then you choose Everyone. However, if you want an exclusive invitation just for selected guests, then you choose Invitation Only. The event then has no searchable link and is only available via invitation if one has been exclusively invited. If you choose Password, it's possible to set a password for the event. Then the password must be entered first in order to proceed to the registration on the event page. Then you enter it down here. It's also possible to hide the event from appearing in search engines like Google and similar ones under Hide in Search Engines. Under the domain, you can adjust the domain if you want the link to have a different name. If you own your own domain, it can also be incorporated here, such as in this section. We can make adjustments to the map and address if necessary. If the event suddenly changes location, it can be updated quickly and easily in this part of the setup. It's also possible to adjust the dates and times for the event, and if it has a specific time zone, or a specific time format, not a 24-hour clock, but AM, PM for example, then it's possible to set that here. And we can also optionally set the language. And since I'm going to have a Swedish event, I want all the copy text to be in Swedish. So I go into the language section where we have a few selected languages and choose Swedish. Now all the copy text on the entire event page will be displayed in Swedish, so that it becomes consistent. And the email sender name is the name that will appear in the mailbox when you send out an email. So that's the sender name. And the same goes for when you send a text message, then the SMS sender name is the sender. And if a recipient chooses to reply using the reply to option on one of these event-related emails, then they will be sent to the address specified under the reply to email. So it's not you who works in the admin tool that needs to receive these email replies. Then you can add, for example, the person responsible for the event. We can once again adjust the number of participants and increase or decrease it as needed. We can make settings for the registration, when it should open, when it should close, and close. How long participants have the opportunity to make updates to their ticket information. This is an RSVP event, so it's possible to have a wait list, and you can either have a regular wait list where it's first come, first served. So if the event is full, it's the person first on the wait list who gets a spot if one becomes available. You can also choose to check the option Handle Waitlist manually. Then, everyone who signs up goes directly onto a waitlist from which you can then handpick participants and invite them to the actual event. And if you want to allow guests to bring extra people or plus ones, you can specify how many under guest can bring extras. This is something that's really good if, for example, you have an event at a bar or a club. It's not that important who the participants are, but you need to keep track of the number of participants. We don't collect names or emails for plus ones, so you need to add extra fields for that in the registration form. Allow guests to decline your invitation. Enables guests to decline the invitation, so you'll know if they've said no and therefore won't be coming. And again, the QR code. If you want to use our check-in app, I recommend that you put it on the ticket. It will significantly ease the check-in process. If you're going to create more events and are very happy with an event page design, then you can click on Duplicate Kickoff in this case. So now the event page is duplicated, so you don't have to start from scratch. The only thing you need to think about is updating all the event information, but the page will be copied and look exactly like the page you choose to duplicate. Finally, we have Delete Event, the red button that removes it. And here we also have an extra security step. And the reason we have this is that when we delete an event, it's gone for good. So think carefully before you click that button. And that was the Setup tab. Under Integrations, it is then possible to integrate the Confetti tool with several different services and platforms. I won't go into any deeper detail in this video, but if it's something you're interested in, feel free to take a closer look under this tab. It's very useful. Under Data and Privacy, we handle important issues and concerns related to data management and participant data efficiently and securely. Here we can specify a message about why we are collecting certain information. It's also possible to specify how long to keep participant information, for the time being or 30 days, and these are important points to keep an eye on. In light of GDPR and similar regulations, it's also possible to add your own terms for the event. They will then be displayed next to Confetti's terms and policy and must be accepted in order to complete a registration, such as specific conditions. And at the bottom, it's also possible to add settings for cookies. The next tab is Teammates, and this is a feature that allows you to invite colleagues who can work together with you as the organizer on the event page. There are several different types of teammate roles you can have, but one that I would like to highlight is checking. This only gives access to the participant list, and this role can be used in connection with check-in using Confetti's check-in app. So I would recommend that you take a look at it if you want to use the app. And under the Webhooks tab, it's possible to link the event page to other tools so that they are notified of new activity on the event. And now we've gone through the entire control panel, and if we go back and click on Events, we can see that our event that we've created is displayed with a cover image, name, date, and link. Now we're going to publish the event so that it goes live on the internet, because right now it's marked as a draft and it's a bit dashed like that. Then you can see that it's not published. So we click on the image and we go down to the Publish button. And keep your eyes on this button, Preview Event Site. When we click on it, Publish Completed. Now it says Go to Event Site instead. And this indicates that the event is published and is now live on the internet here. So here is the page we just created, and now I'm going to sign up for the event. So I'm signing up here. Therefore, I am composing a detailed letter of support for Daniel, outlining the various ways in which he has contributed positively to our community and highlighting his exceptional skills and dedication. And then I add my email. And as I mentioned before, the ones highlighted in blue with the little blue star here, these are mandatory and must be filled out. All of these, otherwise the event button won't be activated. I'm skipping the company question and going straight to the part where I want to participate in person. Then I check this, and I also have to finally accept the terms and policy in order to activate the event button. Once I've done that, I click, and when we have signed up, the little welcome window pops up that we adjusted earlier. And we also receive the welcome email that was successfully sent to us. It's possible to adjust the information in your registration, such as your name or email, or to save a calendar booking in any calendar. And I can also go directly to my ticket with the QR code and unique reference number. If we now go back to Attendis and click on the list, we can see the registered participant information with name, reference number, and if we click on the name, we get all the filled out information as read in the registration form. And if I now go back to the overview page, so it has changed to a graph at the top where you can easily get an overview of the activity on the page. Page visitors, site visitors. It's important to say here that it's not unique visitors, but unique visits. So that's a total number of visits, but not individual visitors. We have one registered attendee and we don't have anyone on the wait list yet. But if we have the function activated and the event gets full, then we will see how many are on the wait list here. If you have a ticketed event, it will instead show revenue here. So it can be good to know. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.